Hi everyone, my name is Liz and welcome to Silly Tarot. This is going to be the first reading that I'm posting on this channel. I already posted an intro video a couple of days ago, but today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a general reading for the energies of kind of like the end of the year, going into the new year, and just sort of see what's up, see what's going on. So the decks that I have on me right this moment are, do I have the box? Let's see. I have the Lilifer Tarot deck. This is just the box. I have the cards somewhere else, but so you could see it. And archetype cards, the Kim Cran's archetype deck, in case I feel like pulling some of those. Please don't mind the lighting situation. Obviously, this is a very amateur setup. I am just in my room. If it becomes relevant, the lighting will be fixed. I plan to change the lighting in here. Get more lights, change stuff up, but right now this is what I have. So if, when I'm turning, I was trying to get it to do it, didn't do it. If when I'm turning the lights change around a bit, please bear with me. But yeah, so that's what I was talking about. You saw it. Okay, so let's get into things, shall we? Let's see. Sorry. Yeah, no, this is just my first time doing this, so we're gonna work with any awkwardness that is there because I don't know if that's life. So let's just get a read on the sort of current energies that are present right now. One card. Can I get like 2 more cards? Let me take this one. Okay. So what we have here is the Knight of Swords. So here's our Knight of Swords here. We have the Lilith card in reverse. And this is specific to this deck. This is the Lilifer deck. And our Page of Cups. So with the Knight of Swords coming in, I feel like there is kind of a lot of, there's a lot of sort of frenzied thinking going on with everybody, and it makes sense because it is the holiday time. And it's very, it's been, I don't know what this video is going to look like when we're done. With the Knight of Swords, I'm getting this sense of kind of like a lot of unresolved thoughts going on within the collective, that people are very in their heads right now, and I think people are sort of not really focused on what's going on with their emotions. It's kind of just a lot of like, it's a lot of mental chatter, it's a lot of headache shit, worrying concerns. That's what I said before about the holidays. It gets people, worked up because there's a lot to think about, there's a lot to worry about, there's just a lot, So I'm getting a sense of that, and with the Lilith card coming out in reverse, I feel like it is kind of putting a lot of people into this sense of disempowerment, and of not really being in touch with their more like intuitive self, because when you are, I feel like you tend to be a bit more sensitive to those cycles of needing to rest and needing to take time away from the chaos of the external world. And I feel like the Knight of Swords here is kind of sort of representing exactly not that, of being very caught up in the stress and being very caught up in all of the chaos of it and all of that mess. So I feel like there is a sort of sense of loss right now of like the ability to sort of just get up and go and do your shit and to feel normal about it, you know? And that it's sort of putting us in this Page of Cups energy, which I feel like it's a lot of like needing to balance a lot of things, you know? Like I was saying, I feel like there's a lot of things on people's plates in terms of kind of really juggling a lot of emotional responsibility right now because, you know, like if you look at how the fish are, you know, obviously when you juggle, the point is that they all land in your hands, or in her case in the cups or whatever. um but that's difficult. That's not always easy, especially when you're kind of like having to also contend with this in your external world and things are very chaotic, not always the easiest. um so while obviously there are external factors, I do want, okay, I didn't ask the question yet. I didn't want the cards to do that. I do want to get a card or a few in regards to sort of like what these emotions are that are sort of like coming up for people, I suppose, at this time. And I guess I does anyone else who reads tarot get annoyed when cards fall out before you're done asking the questions? Like I know, like that doesn't matter, but I'm just like I wasn't done talking. So we have Seven of Cups. You can see it here. Seven of Cups, the Hierophant, and this is our Three of Cups. Was this in reverse? Yeah, this came out in reverse, but it's slightly different. This deck is pretty symmetrical with a lot of the cards, to some extent. Okay. I feel like what I am getting here with these cards is a sort of like, once again, that sense of a loss of control, almost like, I get this idea of like too many cooks being in the kitchen here. Um, Too many cooks being in the kitchen, too many people just trying to get their hands in things. I feel like, and I'm gonna try to like zero into like the audience that I feel I am speaking to here. Bear with me, I am new at this. I'm trying to get the hang of this. But I get the sense that there are probably some people in you guys' lives that are they mean well, and these are probably people that you enjoy the company of, that you care about, but I feel like right now there is a chance that being around them can feel overbearing and a little bit overwhelming, just because of this sort of like chaos. Not chaos, but like just this tension that's in the air. um and not that it's really anyone's fault, but I feel like there's this sense of just like things are too much right now, and it may be causing some people to maybe push too hard to sort of like get attention from you, you know? To maybe just be pulling a little bit extra on that sort of like those energetic strings to get what they need, because things are tense right now. And that this can also maybe feel like you just have a lot of stuff pent up, and it makes it difficult to kind of like interact with others, because it feels like there's just so much that's been built up and you don't really know how to express that, if that makes sense. And I feel like with the Hierophant coming out, who was sort of like in the center of these other two cards, I kind of get this sense that, like, this loss of control feeling is really coming from the sense of, like, I feel like we all feel like we should have known how to do this already, or something like that. That's just the sense that I'm getting, and I don't really know what situation that applies to in, people's individual lives, but that is just the vibe that I'm getting of, like, I should have known this by now, I should have already known how to deal with this, how to do this shit. And I feel like we just are all kind of having situations come up where it's kind of like, hey, you don't. And I feel like this is just kind of catching people off guard. It's just like a little bit more energy than you bargained for, kind of deal here. Um, and that it's just the emotions coming up is just this, like, kind of like, like, calm down. So let's see. Let's get some cards on. Oh, I'm dropping things. Let's get some cards on. What can help us kind of, like, get back into tune with ourselves here, because I feel like there's a lot going on. Okay, these literally flipped over in my hand. How many cards is this? It's 3. Okay. So, we have Justice, the 8 of Pentacles in reverse, and the 4 of Cups. I will show them to you here. Flipped over the 8 so that you can see it better. Okay. So, and if you look here, you can sort of see how the infinity sign, not the infinity, the spiral that she's holding is, and I believe this is actually Ma'at, if I'm not mistaken, the Egyptian deity. I believe that's a representation of her. But that spiral there is very similar to these pentacles here, which is kind of like the first little detail that I'm catching. I feel like, and I'm kind of just speaking off the cuff here, you see all these people sort of coming to Ma'at, and almost like in this way of seeking, almost like a balancing, an absolution, a leveling out of the things going on with them. And the spiral always goes inward, and I feel like the balance sort of comes from, like, this 8 was in reverse. I feel like 8 of Pentacles often represents a lot of, like, hard work and repeating things over time, until they're perfect. And this is great, but it's also the end of the year, It is right at the end of December. You've done all the hard work. Like, it's over. Like, you've done it. Like, sit down, Like, sit down, go within, because this sort of, like, 4 here that I'm seeing, I feel like this is very much a sense of, like, that overwhelm hitting, and kind of just, like, like, why it's happening. It's because you need to slow down. You do. You already do. It's just not easy to slow down. Yeah. Let's get an archetype card as to sort of, like, why is the collective here struggling to sort of, like, slow down and relax? This card is coming out. This is the card that actually came out when I was shuffling this deck before. It is the Aletheia card. We're gonna read the book about this card. This card usually represents truth, truth at a very, like, high level of reality, of sort of, like, truth at the level of paradox, and of ascending dualities. We're gonna go to the page for it, though, and we're gonna see if that rings any bells for anyone. I'm just gonna read that. It says, our soul recognizes the truth when someone speaks it. A cool wave of relief washes over the room, and all the facts and figures in the world fall by the wayside. Such is the power of aletheia. It has an undeniable resonance that goes beyond the rational. We can also recognize aletheia by its contagiousness. When we hear someone speak the truth, we see the truth within ourselves and are more likely to tell our own story. The aletheia card requires us to step toward an act of truth. This might look like a conversation, a gesture, a poetic act, or a ritual that honors the unveiling of what's been concealed. Reclaiming your own truth is a way to reclaim your vital energy, health, and a sense of belonging in the world. Truth has its own wings. Set it free. I feel like between this card here and this eye up here, the truth of sort of like needing to take a step back and relax and prioritize yourself is already known to you. It's already known. There's just kind of a, give me one more card. That's a lot of cards, okay. That's not synchronistic. Putting these all back. We're gonna shuffle this again. Give me one card, please. These are so hard to shuffle because they are circular. But I usually like to select my cards by just shuffling until something falls out at me, And if it doesn't fall out for a while, sometimes I'll just pull it myself. But I really like to have cards fall out at me, Let me take this guy. The Mentor. The Owl. So, the Mentor card here, I feel like, and we're going to glance at the book just to get an idea. This is what, 51? 51. That's 6. I can't count. With the Mentor card, I feel like we have spent a long year kind of maybe being surrounded by a lot of people who didn't understand our truth, And I feel like a lot of hard work has been put into that self-expression and the sort of like the growing of this energy here, of this sense of personal power and of this communion with that inner nature, There's been a lot of that grown, and there's been a lot of learning to sort of sustain this over time throughout difficult circumstances, difficult environments, environments where people, even if they have had the best of intentions, may have been providing interference at best. It is time to step into a different role in your life, in which you are taking on this mentor archetype because you know this truth, because you know it within yourself, and that means you know it within others. And I feel like the main truth that's coming up right this moment is just that you need to rest, because you've worked really hard. And I feel like this sort of like lack of being seen, while it has been enlightening in some cases and it has taught a lot of how to work with certain energies, how to work with things in certain conditions, where there is interference, and the interference teaches you how energy dynamics work, I think it has been a bit draining on some levels, We can only do so much. So on a certain level, we are still human, still have a body you need to take care of, all of that fun shit, Yes, there are two things being said here, but rest first. Okay. Are there any other messages that would like to come through? We have the Emperor and the Queen of Wands in reverse. I feel like there's sort of really a need to take charge of the way that we are letting energy sort of like leak out of us in our life, the way that we are spending our energy. And, you see the snake here, like, are we getting as much as we are giving? This sense of like, are we caught or are we free? Are we giving fire to things that are keeping us warm and are helping us transmute and create? Or are we just endlessly giving our energy to things that are just burning off for the sake of burning them off and getting rid of them, and then, you just are getting rid of all the things you don't need because you're taking in too much, Because it just, that can start to burn you out eventually. And it's not so much a thing of being wrong as it is a thing of realizing the cycle that you are perpetuating. I hope that made sense. I'm kind of just spitting off the cuff here. Figure out where you are losing your energy and figure out how to give it back to yourself. Because going into the new year, that's going to be very important because you're going to need to be creative in order to deal with this. You have a lot of this fire energy. You're going to need to be creative. You're going to want to be creative. It's going to be worth it to be creative, to be authentic, and to share yourself with the world. This is the year that you do this, You need her. You need this queen. Right now, she's going to feel like a lot, but you need this queen. You need this king, too. You need the king to help you take charge of this energy and grab a hold of it and use it for what it is that you actually want to use it for instead of just throwing it around and wasting it on things that you don't actually care about or things that don't care about you, You need this queen to be brave and authentic and loud and bright and burn shit down sometimes, okay? You need her to do everything it is that she does and stand on fucking business. And you need him, you need this king here, this emperor, you need this emperor to help direct all of this fire to exactly where you want it to go. I don't know what I'm doing with my pinky, where you want it to go, okay? So that you can create that masterpiece that is your life and the way you present it to other people. Okay. And that is going to be what creates everything for you. Okay? I'm going to leave it at that. I feel like that is everything. I hope this reading reaches the people that it will make sense for and resonate for. I sincerely hope that this did not all come out like word salad. I will probably be editing a lot of things out of this because I paused this recording so many times in the process because of how insecure I got, because this is my first time doing this. But yeah, thank you all for being here. I hope you all stick around. Welcome to Silly Tarot. I hope you join me on this journey.